they can take the people who supply them with fish, that when they are complaining about the issue of water hyacinth, there's something useful that water hyacinth can be used for, that will be beneficial also to them and to others. So I will take us through the program that we have today. I've done the introduction and the background to the workshop, and then we go on now to how the project and how it started, and then we will go on to the trajectory and processes along the way, what changed and why the changes, the deliverables, success stories, so that you hear also from the women who will tell you their experiences through this project. And then we have discussions, questions and answers, recommendations, and then we close at 5:30. It's 4:10 now, and I will now hand over to Dr. Fakoya to give us the project started. Thank you all for being with us on this project, on this webinar. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. From the global perspective, we are happy that you're all here, and thank you, Deaconess Ariola, for that wonderful introduction to the project. I couldn't have done a better job. Now, I'm Kafayat Fakoya. I'm the principal investigator of this project, and I would just like to take us down memory lane to understand how the project started.
Please, can we all mute our phones when we are not talking? Please, can we mute our phones when we are not talking? Thank you.
So how did the project start? The project started when we saw an expression of a call for expression of interest in 2019, and we responded, and we submitted our expression of interest, and it was considered viable, and we asked to proceed to the next stage, which was the full proposal stage. Now we did that and we submitted, and luckily we were one of the several people or several groups that was chosen to, to start on the project. That was in June 2020. And we commenced the work, we commenced the activities in earnest sometimes in September 2020 or October 2020, and we're just terminating the project this year. I would like to say that, please, next slide, please. Yes, I'm the principal investigator. I'm Kafayat Fakoya, an associate professor in the Department of Fisheries, Lagos State University. And my background is in fisheries, and I specialize in fisheries biology, but I've also acquired skills in the area of social sciences, which I've used in transdisciplinary research, which is the basis of this project. So I'm also a gender person, and I've been involved with the gender in aquaculture and fisheries sections for quite some time. The next on my slide is Ayojesu Tomi Abedun-Sholanke. She works with the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology. She's a food safety expert, and specifically she works on the fish smoking technology. This is followed by Professor Adenike Boyo. She is the current Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. She is a physicist, and she has an area of specialization in the area of solar energy. She specializes in fabrication of solar dryers, solar steels, and solar cookers. Next on my slide is Professor Akintola, Shewa Akintola. He is the current Dean of the Faculty of Science. We work together in the Department of Fisheries. He's an expert on small-scale fisheries and governance, and he's the only male in the group. And lastly but not least, we have Dr. Kafayat Ajelara, my namesake. She's also a member of the group. She's in the Department of Zoology. She's an entomologist with specialization in control of insect pests of medical and agricultural importance. And she also has interest in the area of biosafety, biosecurity, and environmental toxicology. So we are a group of 4 men and 1 male. So now going now forward, I want to take you through the background of the project, which Deaconess Ariola has actually explained. So fish smoking is a gendered activity. It is highly informal. And the traditional means of doing this is by the use of smoking kilns, which we see much in our environment, principally in the rural and fishing communities. You find a lot of drums that have been cut into half or 3/4, and you find mud ovens or mud kilns. And you also have what you call box ovens. And you also have some that are made out of from galvanized sheets covering the outer or the exterior part of the oven. Now, these are all local innovations made, and they have been taken up by these women, but then they have the attendant problems. And what are those problems? The problems are that they are not so efficient. They consume a lot of fuel. The fuel used is principally what we know as the firewood. That is the principal source of energy that the women use in smoking the fish. And of course, this constitutes a lot of health hazards because a lot of smoke is emitted, and then this is inhaled by the women. It causes a lot of problems, health problems, like it affects the eyesight, it affects the respiratory tracts. And of course, they also have, at times they also suffer from burns, due to the exposure to the direct heat. And of course, another fact is that the fish that's smoked with these traditional means are often laden with what you call PAH. These are polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and these are known to be like precursors of cancer. They are carcinogenic, that is, they can cause cancer. If this fish is eaten over a long time and has accumulated so much in the body, it can also trigger cancerous growth. So these are the problems that these fish smoking practices actually bring. And then we looked at what are the reasons why the women do not even want to take up the modernized facilities. That is, we now have what we call charcoal-fired smoking kilns that are fabricated. They are available. But then you find that a lot of the women are not really receptive to these fabrications or to this innovation. And that is because they feel that the charcoal doesn't suit their purpose. They believe more in the firewood because of the smoky flavor it imparts in the fish and the texture and the color. And they believe that the charcoal doesn't do the same. So, and they also believe that the smoking kiln don't have the necessary capacity. The modern smoking kiln doesn't have the capacity to do with the fish. So they do not take them up. We've had areas where we've seen this smoking kiln even given to them by the government, and they do not even go near they do not even use the smoking kiln. So it's a problem, and that's because the women were not consulted, or they were not involved in the design, in the construction, in the technology transfer of this smoking kiln. So we have our lofty goals, and our lofty goals are that we want to change the mindset of the people, of the women, to make them be able to use something that we think is more cost efficient. And what we started off with was to idealize an hybrid design. An hybrid design consisting of solar and biomass energy. We thought that by utilizing solar energy, we can actually reduce the cost of drying the fish after the smoking process. The ideology of leaving the smoking is because we know that it will improve local acceptance, consumers' acceptance or acceptability. And then we made sure that this technology would also be centered around the women. That is, we want to make it affordable and low cost, and as well as being unique, that it adapts local knowledge. And then we use a three-pronged approach, and that approach means that we used a case study by making interviews with the principal actors, which are the fish processors from different communities. We also designed and fabricated prototypes of the smoking kiln. And then lastly, we did a lot of capacity building, which really helped the cost of this activity. And then the objectives were to improve the livelihood of the people, and then to build capacity of the women in these new innovation, and also to help them to produce safe fish products. and improve market access as well. And also we wanted to compare this with other smoking techniques, principally biofuels such as charcoal and firewood. So those were the objectives. So that ends how we actually started off the project. We started off with solar, but we did not end up with solar, but we know that solar is a futuristic advantage because the world is going solar, but we need to work more on the solar aspect to be able to utilize and maximize the potentials. So we now went on with the biomass, and this is where we started off with the trajectories. And at the trajectories, we looked at the different activities and how we went on with carrying out those activities. And we started off with the meet and greet session. In the meet and greet session, we made arrangements to meet with the Lagos State Fishermen Cooperative Association. That was when they had their the meeting for the very first time after the long spell of COVID-19. And that was in February 2021. We met with the executive meeting because we understood that the women would also be at the meeting. And we met a lot of the women fish processors. Some of them are actually attending this program, and they will be called to contribute also. So we met with them, we introduced the project to them about what we want to do and the impact of this, the impact of this project with them. And afterwards, we also met with one of the fish processors who lived in the area where the meeting was held. And then we interviewed her about her practices, and we saw her kitchen. We talked about what she used and what she would think if there's an alternative resource or alternative equipment that will help alleviate the sufferings or the health hazard that they're exposed to. So, and the next online was the case study. We had to do some preliminary research. But we know that there have been a lot of researches that dealt with fish processors, but we wanted to encapsulate so much more than just looking at the socioeconomic aspect of the fish processors. So we went on to develop a questionnaire that for which we trained 4 enumerators. Some of them are also present on this program. We trained 4 of them, and we carried out the project between June and July. That was 2021. And it was very interesting because we used both the computer-assisted survey tool and also the paper tool to complement what we couldn't do with the survey with the computer-assisted tool. So we came out, we were able to interview 412 fish smokers, and they were principally, of course, over 90, close to 90% of them were women. And these women were interviewed in 22 fishing communities that cut across 4 divisions of Lagos State. The 4 divisions are Badagry, Ekpe, Ikorodu, and Lagos. Those are the 4 out of the 5 agricultural divisions of Lagos State. Now, we had a lot of interesting findings, and these have been presented at 3 international conferences. From the slide, you can see one was on the survey of the traditional and fish smoking kilns, and there was another one on safety assessment of traditional fish smoking practices. And there was also one on, we looked more technically into this into the fuels that were used, because we know that a lot of hardwood is used, and principally most of the hardwood it was more or less mangroves, what the Yoruba call Igiegba, that is found along the shores of the lagoon, the creeks. That is where you found the mangrove. And of course, the mangrove ecosystem, it does a lot for the environment. It's a breeding ground for fish resources, and at the same time, it is also cut for firewood because of its rich properties, the rich tannin, which gives coloration to the fish, which enhances its acceptance, and because the mangrove itself has high thermal capacity. Even when burnt wet, it still does its work. And that is the red mangrove. So next slide, please. So after that, we started with the prototypes. Now we started off with a hybrid biomass solar dryer prototype, which is seen on the left-hand side of the screen. And it involved both direct and indirect process of capturing the sunlight. And then next, we ventured into a multi-energy source in which we used a gas, we used a charcoal and briquettes during the workshop. And then we also had a parabolic dish solar collector fish dryer, which was only based on solar. And then eventually we ended up with an insulated 2-door drum kiln that we can see above. Now, the genesis of this is that when we started with the hybrid solar dryer prototype, we noticed that we noted that the Southwest, or specifically Lagos, has moderate temperatures, but then it is not enough to actually dry the fish very well, or unless perhaps the fish you want to dry is a small fish, a small size fish, which some of the fish processors actually dry and sell to people that are involved in livestock or animal feed. That is what the sun drying process is good for. But they don't use sun drying, to dry large size fish, because there's no consumers demand for such fish, and of course it will be acceptable. So we noted that for this to be effective, it is better if used perhaps in the northern parts of the country, where you have higher temperatures regime and higher solar intensity, which is more constant, unlike in Lagos, where we had changes in weather patterns, and then lower solar intensity. Now, this took us to the other aspect of the multi-energy source. We did that because we now saw that even the charcoal we thought would replace firewood was becoming more or less like an headache. We had what we call like an energy crisis in Nigeria. That was last year, even well before the Ukraine-Russian war started, or conflict started. And what we noted was that there were we noted that the cost of charcoal was gradually building up. And already the fish processors have biases against the use of charcoal. So how do you introduce charcoal to them when you know that they have biases, and the cost is even going to be much more than what and how they procure the firewood? Because some of them procure the firewood at no cost. So that is an advantage for them. So they would not really accept such. So we started looking for alternatives, because we wanted something that would also be an alternative to forest depletion. Both charcoal and firewood are products that are gotten from the forest, and of course you have forest depletion. Even with charcoal, charcoal is a product of wood, and that means that you continue to fall wood to cut trees in order to make charcoal, and that amounts to the same thing. So we ended up with that, and then we forged on to experimenting with a parabolic dish solar collector, which we also saw there, and we found that it could work given the time frame, or given much more time frame, because there was a copper plate that we used, or we included into the design, and we saw that it made the temperature shot up immediately, which was a plus. And then eventually we ended up with the drum oven. This was conceived because we saw that some of the women used the briquettes we introduced later efficiently with the drum, and then it gave us and the fabricator also the idea of improving on this drum to have aesthetic to have that aesthetic quality, and also to be like an homestead sort of thing. Now, how did we commence with briquette production? We also ventured into briquette production. We had 8 students in all, and we experimented with water hyacinth. We also with sawdust and wood shavings, charcoal dust. That's the charcoal fines we get from the charcoal seller, that comes at a comparative low cost. And then we also use cassava starch, which was a binder. So that is the process of what we did, the collection of materials. The processing refers to sun drying of these raw materials for a number of days, and also shredding and milling. And then we added, in some cases we carbonized the sawdust. We wanted to experiment with carbonization, with producing carbonized briquette, and we did. We carbonized the sawdust before we added the cassava starch to act as a binding material, to bring together all the loose materials, to make them stick together. Before we employed the briquetting machine, we used the briquetting machine to bring them out in molds, and then we sun dry again until they became firm. So you can see the processes. We collected water hyacinth, we cut and shredded the water hyacinth, we dried it, and then we made it with cassava starch, and then we also combined part of the charcoal dust with it. So we made variants of briquettes. So on the lower end of the right side of the of the slide is where the carbonization process. It is the same way as, it's almost like the same way as making charcoal, but in a more refined manner using a drum as a carbonizer. And on the left side is the briquetting process. So next slide, please. So at the end of the day, we came out with 4 briquette types. Why I said 4 briquette types is because we combined the raw materials in different proportions. We experimented with it, and then we tested this product, the 4 briquettes, on 2 different fish species. One was the Clarias garipinos and the African catfish, and the other one was the Olochrome niloticus, that is the tilapia. So we add 8 fish products in all, and then we tested this, and we tested this later. So Dr. Desutomi, you have the floor, please.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thanks for the wonderful presentation that you have made. And good evening, everyone, once again. Yeah, so just like she said, during the process, after we use the different variety of briquettes to produce the fish, like he said, we use 2 different fishes, the scaled one and the non-scaled one. So after doing that, we carried out some laboratory analysis, you know, to check the nutritional quality of the smoked products, then to also check the food safety index. So for the food safety index, we did some microbiological analysis in addition to the PAH and also some biochemical analysis. Then we also did an extensive organoleptic assessment of the various smoked products that we got after we smoke dry using the briquette. And one thing we realized is that all the different analyses were within the acceptable limit. You know, there are so many international standards that we use, and we also have some local standards. So at the end of the analysis, we discovered that everything, all the smoke products were within the acceptable limits that the standards gave. So then another thing I also like to stress here is that, you know, we have, like she said during our presentation, we have the carbonized and the uncarbonized briquettes. The carbonized, those ones are the ones that were burnt in the absence of oxygen, just for it to look. If you see that carbonized one, it's like charcoal. So from both the carbonized and the uncarbonized, we discovered that everything was within limits. Then during the process as well, sorry, I'm trying to, hello? Okay, I think I need to continue. I'm trying to.
We can hear you very well, Doctor.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that during the process as well, we took time to build the capacities of the students. You know, the students were actually the ones that were used for this for the laboratory analysis and everything. But aside the students, the capacity of the various women that were involved with the project was also built in the area of though after some time, though many of them showed interest in even being in producing briquettes. But in addition to that, we also linked them up to a commercial producer of briquettes in Lagos. Then aside that, you know, everything that we did for this project right from the beginning, we involved, the women were involved, and not just the women alone, everyone that we, as soon as we went to the community and we did the survey, so everyone that was a part of the project were involved all through everything. Sorry, please. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just needed to, because we would like you to. I don't know what is wrong with this thing. The screen is not moving forward again.
And can you just
let me just continue? I think
yes.
I should just continue with or without the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So there was training and awareness workshop. We also did some awareness workshop during the project, wherein the women and the men, they were brought to Lagos State University. And during that time, we divided them into groups so that we can use the participatory approach. We divided them into groups. Some group worked on firewood. In fact, all of them were involved. So they smoked, we got some amount of fishes and they processed it for firewood, for charcoal, and then for briquette smoking. So everything was, the kiln were lit up almost at the same time, and then the smoking process began. So it was, it was a 2-day workshop. So the next morning when they came, as they were entering the venue, they weren't aware of the processes that took place after, because they've gone, they went to their place where they put up for the night. So the next morning, we have obtained the fishes from the different kilns, and we brought them out so that they can do the sensory evaluation. And every one of them, they did the sensory evaluation, and it was seen from that particular assessment that the fish that was smoked with briquettes has the highest acceptability by almost all of them, because the color was golden, it wasn't black, unlike the firewood. The firewood one was black. Then the charcoal, the briquette smoked fish was relatable to the one from the charcoal, but from the taste, the briquette smoked fish had the best taste from the ranking that the women did. Then, we also did the PT. I don't know why this thing is not playing now. And it's hello, ma. Okay, hello, ma. Let me just, I will still play it as we go on in the program. So the women, they liked the taste of the briquettes one was most acceptable, then followed by the charcoal, and thereafter the firewood. The firewood was the least preferred of all the smoked samples. So we can say that the project was able to build the capacity of the women, and the project was able to expose them to other alternative sources of energy apart from firewood and charcoal. Initially we were advocating that many of these women should adopt firewood, should adopt charcoal, but we discovered that with the energy crisis, the price of charcoal also went up. So from there, they were able to discover a better alternative, which is the briquette one, as is more environmentally friendly because there's no deforestation. And it's even a means of turning waste to wealth, because it is the byproducts of many agricultural practices that those are the products, the raw materials that we use for the briquette production. Thank you.
Hello. Ẹ sọ Yorùbá ká gbọ́, ká náà lè kọ́wọn kọ̀ọ̀kan lè fèsì.
Nígbà kan tẹ́yìn sì máa sọ̀rọ̀. Nǹkan tó sọ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni bí kinní yìí ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀, àwọn tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ nǹkan tẹ́ ṣe, adẹ̀sọ workshop tẹ́ ṣe níbi tẹ́ ti ń tọ́ ẹja wò, tẹ́ ti tọ́ ẹja wò, tẹ́ ti ní ìtàn ṣe pẹ̀lú briquette ló dájú, àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ lẹ sọ? Ẹ̀yin sì máa sọ̀rọ̀, ẹ ní sùúrù, ẹ jẹ́ ká débi tẹ́ ti máa sọ̀rọ̀, àṣẹ débẹ̀ nísìn. Ẹ ṣé o tẹ́ o.
So please pardon me to speak in English, ma'am. Then we will now speak in Yoruba. We will be interchanging it. Okay. So after the workshop, what we did eventually is workshop evaluation. So in the post-workshop evaluation, we gave out the briquette to these women after they have all seen what briquette can do compared to charcoal and firewood. So they took the briquette home to go and try. Okay. But before that, what we did is we did laboratory tests. As my sister, Dr. Tomi has said, okay, we look at the quality of the fishes, nutritional composition, we look at the amount of smoke in it, which we know as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Okay, they look at it. Then we now did a feedback survey. So we asked them to talk about the briquette, what they see in it, and what they feel they can do with it when they get home. So when you look at this video, unfortunately, the videos are not playing. The women took the briquette home. Okay, after taking it home, we asked them, we encouraged them to use this. So when they use it, they came up with different stories, success stories on what they have gotten. If you look at the video, you see Mrs. Shabi, you see Mrs. Akinyemi, you see Olori, you see Mrs. Otunubi. All of them went home, they used the briquette and they use it in different ways. Some use it in their ovens, in their smoking places. Can I continue? Some
Yes.
even use it in.
Yes,
in,
please. The perception is from your end.
Okay. Some use it in drums, just like the way they will use their firewood. Some use it with coal pots. They put the briquette in coal pots and they were able to get enviable results, which is quite amazing and interesting. That's one part of the post workshop evaluation that we did. As you can see, this Mrs. Shabi giving us a video of what she did. We equally have people from Badagry, Mrs. Taiwo and Mrs. Sulia. They use it in drum and they were able to send out the fish that they use it for. Very fantastic. Afterwards, we went on to develop our own claim, which they were part of. They were there together with us, and we still continue to test this oven. This is a demo of the drum claim. We have different types of drum claim. The insulation is different. Some were insulated with clay. As you can see in the slide there, the clay one was used. Then we used an insulator, a glass fiber insulator too. This glass fiber insulator gave us a better result. And as we were progressing, we were always running tests to show how it is, and they were happy. Even as our last week, we were still on ground to do this test. When they carry out the test, they realized that the one that was insulated with glass fiber, the drum, give a very good result. The fishes were just as good as being fried. They look more like fried fish. There is no iota of any amount of smoke on it. It's not dirty. If you touch it, you don't need to wash your hand. Then the hydrocarbon in it, polycyclic hydrocarbon in it, is extremely low compared to what it used to be when you use either charcoal or firewood. It's very, very good. And then they came up with different success stories, as you will hear them say it with their own mouth. Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
Hello,
Thank you, ma'am.
very much. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Mrs. Kafayat Ajilara, for your Dr. Kafayat Ajilara, for your presentation. We go on now to discussions. We want our women to speak to us about their experiences, what they learned, how they have changed their views about how to process their fish, and then how they know that as much as it is important for them to make money, they also need to take care of their health, and how they have now seen that there are alternative means of having fuel to smoke their fish. Àwọn ìyá wa, àwọn nǹkan tá à ń sọ ni pé àsìkò tí tó ń sìn tán máa pè yín wípé kẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀, nítorí ẹ̀yin náà ẹ ti kọ́ oríṣiríṣi ní ibi kíní yìí. Ẹ lè sọ fún wa nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ ti kọ́, nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ dẹ̀ ti mọ̀ pé ẹ máa ṣe, àti bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa lọ síwájú pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. So the next one will be anchored by Mrs. The three of them will anchor it, Mrs. Fakoya, Sholanke, but most importantly, Mrs. Ajilara. Over to you, ma.
Okay, I think we should just finish up with the. I think we should just finish, Dr. Kafayama. I think we should just finish up with the slides so that we can call the women. So Alaja Ashabi, you were the one speaking the other time. Get ready to speak, ma. Then Laide, and then one of the men, maybe Jehoshaphat.
Okay, thank you, my sister. So can you please move the slides to, I think it's what changes and why.
Yes.
Now, what changes and why? Why we started off the project with conception of a hybrid solar biomass, and we ended up with a biomass, an alternative biomass to charcoal and to firewood. Now, what brought up these changes? As I said earlier, these changes were induced as a result of the energy crisis that we had sometimes last year. When I meant energy crisis, there was a noticeable increase in the prices of cooking gas starting last year, and this had an effect on other fuel sources. Once the prices of gas started going up, some people started making alternative use of energy sources like charcoal, which is very close to them, which is very much closer to them. Of course, kerosene is something that in Nigeria that is also expensive. So people started shifting to charcoal to make ends meet. But then if we intended to introduce charcoal to the fish processors, bearing in mind that they already had their biases, they will tell you that no, it doesn't suit the purpose. People don't like the taste of charcoal, smoked fish, and other things like that. So we had to be pragmatic about this. And this led us to seeking alternative biomass. And we came across biomass briquettes. That is briquettes that are made from biological materials, from waste and the likes. And we experimented gradually. So the reasons were that, and another reason was that solar wasn't such an enviable one as for now, because there is absolutely, let's say, zero demand for sun-dried fish. The only times where the sun-dried fish was made by these women was because they supplied animal or livestock feed producers. They claim that these people use the sun-dried fish and included it in a feed formulation. So it wasn't as if the sun-dried fish, which are small in terms of sizes, were actually consumed by people or nutritionally. And then we also had another shift. Initially we looked at producing a prototype that would enable a group of women to use, a prototype smoking kill. But then the reality is that it rarely happens that way. And then we finally conceived that idea of producing another prototype that would be affordable even for the low-income fish smoker. And that is what we've done with the drum, and essentially. So the energy crisis is one that precipitated that shift from solar, and the reason that sun-dried fish wasn't as marketable as such. And then of course we had the climate changes, the weather pattern wasn't that encouraging because of the low solar intensity over time. So those are the those were the more or less the primary factors. And then in addition to the fact that we looked at what was considered as a waste. And when we were able to, and because we were able to use water hyacinth and sawdust, we found that look, water hyacinth is a problem to the inland fishing communities. Why not look at it as a valuable thing, like creating waste, creating wealth from waste? It's there in the communities. They don't know what to do about it. Why not create a value chain? It can be utilized in so many ways. You know, essentially, I think the richest part of the water hyacinth that can be used in briquetting are the roots. But interestingly, I also found out that there's a social entrepreneur named by Mitty Meth that utilizes the stem of the water hyacinth in making handicrafts. She has the company has very beautiful handicrafts that are displayed at Faloma. They have a showroom at Faloma, and she's also the showroom. I mean, the company is also visible on the internet. I made contact with her and I told her that I would like her to meet up with the briquette maker and us in order to see how we can utilize the harvesting of the water hyacinth, because she makes use of the stem, and the roots are essentially the best part to make use of in briquette production. So, but we are still talking about the likely collaboration and maybe likely capacity building in the nearest future for the community members, for the fishing community members, because more or less most of them need to have alternative livelihoods, you know, so they can look into such areas of making handicraft, also making briquettes, you know, from different waste around in their vicinity. So those are the what and why the changes that became visible. So I will hand over to Dr.
Yes.
for deliverables.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fakoya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, the deliverables.
So the next thing is to tell you the deliverables from the project. You know, at the initial stage, the PI, that's the principal investigator, told us the objectives. The objectives were to identify other alternatives. Then another objective was to develop a prototype of kiln that would combine solar and other biomass as the source of energy. And I believe that following through, we discovered that the solar one was a success. But in addition to that, because of the energy crisis, then you know one limitation with solar is when there is rain, they may not be able to use it. So that's what led us to now developing to identifying other alternative sources. And that was what led us to briquettes. So the first deliverable from this particular project was the demonstrated potential of solar biomass energy integrated dryer. I believe if you were following us from the beginning, you would have seen where we did. In fact, we even had like 2 or 3 models of solar dryers. And every one of the reason why we kept on improving on it was we wanted the one that would give us the best energy. And I think we arrived at that, because as at the last time when it was not the rainy season, when the sunlight was high, we were able to get as much as 65 degrees Celsius from the solar dryer. So that's the first deliverable from this project. The second thing was the introduced biomass energy source with potential to reduce cost, contribute to climate action, and mop up biomass waste. Yes, just like we have said, you know, this whole idea of briquettes is the raw material for briquettes are usually waste. So when you turn waste to wealth, we should know that that will be cheaper than whether it's charcoal or even firewood. It's cheaper. It's cheaper in terms of cost. That is, it's cheaper economically. It's cheaper or is sustainable in terms of environment. And at the same time, it is also cheaper socially, because many of the women, you will still hear from them, they loved it and it was more acceptable. The product was more acceptable than the others. Then the third one is, desirable organoleptic properties and safety of fish product. You know, from what we have said, the reason why we can't really share the laboratory analysis is because it's a paper, is a document that we are still working on. But at the end of it, we will still, when we publish it, we'll share it with every one of us so that we can see that when it comes to the laboratory analysis, talking about the safety of the fish products, everything was safe because they were all within the acceptable, allowable limits. Then the last deliverable was improved health, well-being, and livelihood of fish smokers in fishing communities. And we had there that not just even the fish smokers alone, but the fish consumers. Because, you know, many of the things, we all know that PAH has been termed, some, though it's not all PAH, but some PAH have been termed carcinogenic. That is, they are carcinogens that improves the risk to cancer. So, but with the use of these briquettes, with the use of these environmentally friendly energy sources, we have discovered that the PAH has gone down tremendously. So it helps. It's a healthy product, even for the consumers, for the people that consume the fish product. Then the well-being and the livelihood of the fish smokers. We all know that many of those smokers, they will still tell us when they use firewood, so many hazards, so many occupational hazards are there that they are exposed to. Like many of them develop even blindness because the way they change the drudgery. Please, can we all mute ourselves? The drudgery and everything that is associated with the traditional smoking processes. So these are some of the things that the briquettes energy source has been able to reduce and even eliminate totally. From the way the briquette is lit up, you will know that no, this one is, you don't have to be blowing anything and be doing all those things that are, all those activities associated with the traditional fish smoking practices like firewood and charcoal. Then the livelihood, yes, the livelihood of the fish smokers. I believe that the engineer, I know he's here, so maybe he will still tell us some things before we finish. From even the cost of the briquette, the cost is cheaper, way cheaper than what we have for charcoal, and even firewood, sincerely, is cheaper. So, and that's when the cost of production is cheaper like that, when it's reduced, it helps to improve the livelihood of these women. Then when they are healthy, when they are no longer exposed to occupational hazard associated with traditional practices, we know that definitely even their own morale, they will have good, you know, they are strong, they are healthy, do more. And I believe that at the end of it all of this will lead to improve food security in Nigeria. Thank you. So we go to the success stories now. Dr. Ajelara will tell us some of the success stories as reported by the women and the people involved with this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you once more for having me. The success story. Hello, can I continue? Hello.
We're hearing you. Continue. Yeah, we're hearing you.
Okay. The success story starts from number one, having a very good quality fish that is acceptable by all. Okay. Having a workable smoking clean that is not expensive and affordable. Everybody can afford it. The cost of, are you with me? Then
yes, we are with you, ma'am. We can hear you.
Health-wise, when you eat the fish, you realize that it is of very good quality compared to what is being smoked with firewood. Then the women too realize that with this, they could go and sleep. When they put their fish in the smoking clean, it's so easy. They don't have to stay all the time with it. It's timeable. It has a temperature adjuster, and the temperature could equally be monitored. So you can say like, okay, if I put this fish here, in the next 2-3 hours, this is what I will get. It's highly predictable. There is no incidence of your fish getting burnt when you use briquette. I will like the women too to share this success story so that it wouldn't look like painting it too good. Let us hear from the office mouth. Then finally, environmental sustainability. With this briquette, you don't need to fall trees anyhow. Indiscriminate cutting of trees is out because it could be sourced from waste materials that are found everywhere within your locality, within your environment. Things you don't even think are useful can be used to make this briquette. It ranges from water hyacinth to coconut husk to leaves, dry leaves, to so many things, wood shavings, a lot of things. So I'm so happy and excited to tell you that I'd like few of these women to share the success story so that we can all hear what they have done. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, ma. Thank you. So now is the time for us to have some discussion around, and I could see that some of these things that we have said have generated so many questions, comments in the chat box. So now we are going to be giving the women the opportunity to say something about this particular project. Okay, maybe we should allow, I could see Bukola, she has her hand raised up. So please, can you quickly comment on what, I believe you have a comment.
Okay, good afternoon. I
Good
believe you can
afternoon.
hear me. Good afternoon from my side. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a good job. Wow, I'm so impressed. I'm an environmentalist, and I could relate to everything that is being said here. But I just have few comments and questions.
Okay.
And let me start from the what is being used. We said we should avoid deforestation.
Yes.
And now, yes, and we are talking about charcoal, because I saw that part of the material used was charcoal dust.
Mm.
And I believe we should bring deforestation to the barest minimum.
Yes.
So I don't know if maybe there's a test that's also been done without charcoal being added at all. That's number one.
Okay.
Then number two, what proportion of maybe all the materials that was used, okay, like maybe the water hyacinth, because everything else should be in proportion. Was there a test that was carried out on different levels or different rates or different proportions of the so-called wastes?
Mm.
Because as an environmentalist, we have to also put things in check.
Okay.
Yes. Then thank God our mommy also mentioned that the roots of water hyacinth was used. Yes, good. But was there also a test? Because I know this is experiment. Let me put it that way. So that's that's why I'm asking these questions. Sorry. Was there a test on maybe if you use all the parts of water hyacinth? Was there a test on if we use maybe cassava peel?
Okay.
I don't know if I'm communicating.
Yeah, you are.
So
you are communicating.
There should be tests on some of these things so that we can say that this is what we concluded on, or this is what the project concluded on, based on a lot of tests that is being carried out.
Yeah.
And lastly, not to take your time, I love the woman that said the cane was as regulator, because I had to note here that how many or for how long will the briquette burn? So you could also add to this test, if possible, or this research work, if possible, for how long can briquette, maybe a size of briquette, you can measure the size, and for how long can this size burn for this number of fish?
Okay.
So that we'll be so sure, okay, apart from the regulator, this particular briquette, maybe one portion or maybe 5 kg, this and this can burn for this and this. But it's a good job, well done.
Thank you so much. I'll quickly answer your question. I'll quickly answer the comment while I will allow those women to talk. The first question you said, can I really remember? I know you talked about the fact that were there tests carried out. Yes. Maybe you joined a little bit late. we told you that when we started initially, one of the major tests that we even worked on the composition of the various raw materials that we used in developing the briquettes. So we have test results for the different components, you know, some sawdust, some charcoal dust, some water hyacinth, some coconut husk, different products like that. So we worked on them individually, and we also had a combination of all. So we had results from everything. But I'm saying that the results we are still processing. We are processing those results. We are processing it to now, you know, before you can start sharing things like that, you need to have put it together, send it as a publication. So when it's accepted, we will, even from, you know, from every one of us that registered here today, we have our contact. So we will share some of these further documents and publications. We share them with you in the course of, so test was done on everything. And like I said there, I would like to also emphasize that from all the materials, the PAH was less than 2. You know, the major indicator for PAH is benzoylpyrene. So the one we got for almost all the materials, they were even less than 1. So from that, we know that all the products are safe. They are safe to be used in the production of briquettes. Then you also talked about the fact that like how many hours and things like that. In the training manner, like we said initially, and some of my other sisters too said, there is a training manner that is developed from this project. And in that training manner, we have the different composition. For example, if you are smoking maybe 10 kg of fish, you start with 1 kg of briquettes. Then, you know, when that one is burning off, but it takes time. Like that 1 kg of briquette, before it will burn off totally, you can still be burning for close to 4 hours or even more. So when you see that the energy, the temperature is going down, you need to add more, which is what we do for charcoal too. So I know that from that, but just, you know, it's like we are just, this one is just to disseminate the overall objective and for us to know that the products and the energy sources and everything are adopted. The women like it. So that's what we are doing now. This is just the first stage of the dissemination workshop. You will still get to hear more about this as we continue. So please, can we have the women now before we take further comments? Alaji Ashabi, are you here, ma?
Yes, ma. Good evening, ma.
Sorry. Yeah, Alaji.
Good evening, ma.
Thank you. So you have the floor, ma. You can quickly speak here.
Thank you very much. You've all spoken well. My name is Alaja Shabi Aminat Shade. I want to say big thanks to the organizer of this thing. You see, we are part and parcel of the training. Then we did everything by ourselves. We went, we saw, then we conquer. Now, I can beat my chest that with the experience and with the training that we undergo under that thing, briquette is the best. Briquette is the best. In terms of economy, he economized produce. In terms of taste, in terms of color, in terms of neatness, briquette is the best. Then some of the observation that I saw there is when we make use of charcoal, you still have particles inside your coal pot, But when you make use of briquette, you are getting 100% arch. 100% arch. Then from my own experiments, because after the time we carried out the experiments with the conveners, we now went back home again. So everybody went back home and do his own experiment. From my own experimental ground, I prefer briquette that is made with coconut husk. It's okay by me. Then I want to say big thanks to the organizer. They've spent a lot of money for this research. So they've spent a lot of
Where
money
they go?
for
Where
this
they go?
research.
Alani.
So, and you see, one of the joy that I have is we are part and parcel of this system. It is not that somebody went somewhere else or in one corner, maybe somebody does that thing in that place and come back and tell, no. We are part and parcel of that experiment. We all carry the experiment along. Then the one of the smoking cane that is made up of that drum, that is first of its kind. That is first of its kind. That is first of its kind. And then it is also good for us. It is also good for a, should I say, amateur smoker that he doesn't know anything about it. Making use of that thing is going to upgrade. And so I just want to say big thanks to the convener, Dr. Ajay Lara, Dr. Kafaya, and everybody, including my colleagues, because we took time to carry out all those things. So we are happy that we are part and parcel of that research. Thank you and God bless you, ma.
Thank you, ma. Thank you so much, ma. So quickly, can we have Laide? Are you on the call, Laide?
Please, there's a hand
Yes,
that
ma.
is up.
Hello.
Okay.
Ma?
Good day, everyone.
Good day. Good day, you have the
Yes,
floor,
can you hear
Laide.
me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes, first of all, I want to say thank you to the convener, Dr. Mrs. Fakoya, for the privilege given to be part of the BRICS project. It's a job well done. Thanks to Dr. Tomi and Dr. Ajilara. It all went well. After several trials, we get to try. So briquettes, like they've said before, it is environmental friendly. With the projects we've done, with the experiments carried out, even the local women could see that it's worth the time taking. It's worth their time to be there to get the job done. So all I just want to say is they should just keep to the practice. Even after the project has been a successful one, they should keep to the use of briquette, because they could even say, health wisely is good. Nothing is no hazard effect at all. Even the shelf life of their fish, afterwards they see the end product, they see how good looking the fish is and even how nutritious it is. Briquette is not just another source of fuel, but improved source of fuel, not in terms of the environmental factor, but also health factor. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to everyone that is there today to listen to the convener and all the team partners. So just to thank you very much.
So much there. Thank you there. We would love to have a man, and I think he's Mr. Jehoshaphat. I don't know. He's trying to join. Let me admit him whether he will join us. He started with us, but he has been going off and on, maybe because of network issues. So when he joins us, I'm sure he will talk. He will still comment and say something, so that we don't just make this a women affair thing alone.
Alaja Akinyemi too. Let us speak a local language.
Okay. Alaja Akinyemi. Ṣé wà ń bí báyìí mà? Alaja Akinyemi. Àbí mọ́mí ọlọ́rọ̀ dé. Ṣaláwọn míì tán tún fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lára àwọn ìyá wa.
Mr. Kasim Olayinka is raising up his hand.
Yes, we will still take that. That is one of the, we will still take further comments from everyone, but I wanted those women to talk. So maybe while the women are preparing, we can take further comments. So like she said, Kazim.
Oh yeah.
Please, I don't know whether you're okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
15,000.
My name is Olayinka Kazim. I'm one of the facilitators for FADAMA in Lagos State. We are currently doing the end care program, which this innovation is going to assist our local farmers. Interestingly, when the project started, I was, let me say, I'm part of it, because Dr. Kafaya might probably remember me, because then I was the one that took out to Ebute Afuye and Ebute Rekoto, in some of these processors there. And one area of my interest is this issue of the use of water hyacinth, because I know from Ikorodu down to Ekpe, the menace of water hyacinth during the peak of during the rainy season is quite very high, and this one giving us alternative to process this water hyacinth into something that is usable for our local farmers. It actually give me a great joy. And also is that I want to say I would like to be trained in the making of this briquette, because there are other things we can use it for, like this byproduct from corn is also available. The ox from corn is also available in our community that we can process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you for that feedback. Thank you. So please, can we have further comments? Is Mr. Jehoshaphat, are you here?
Excuse me, sister.
Mama Alaja Akiyemi Sheti wa nbi báyìí ma.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you, ma. Yes.
Hello.
You have the floor.
Yeah, I just want to comment because Mr. Olayinka made a request. He says he would like to be trained on the briquette. Now, this is something that also evolved out of the workshop. We had one of the 2 males who attended the workshop, signifying the intention. And then during one of the post-workshop evaluation, when we are making the oven or the dryer, more or less, he also said that he wanted to be to be dealing in the briquette. That means that there are going to be value chains developing from briquette down to other things. So that will create more employment opportunities as well. Now, to his question, I think we can refer him to Engineer Wale Karunwi, because he has said he's interested, and I can actually vouch for Dr. Engineer Wale Karunwi as somebody that is very diligent in his work. He's somebody that is forward-looking, and I think over time we can look at how to link anybody who's interested in capacity building in the briquette to Engineer Wale Karunwi, who is an expert in the briquette. So I'm sharing the flyer. In one of the, you will see at the bottom end of the flyer, you will see some numbers, and one of them belongs to Engineer Wale Karunwi. So for any further contact, you can refer to that flyer, please. It's on the chat box.
Engineer Karunwi is in the house. He's equally on this webinar.
Yeah, okay. If he's there, then we should also,
maybe
should also communicate.
Yeah. Engineer Karunwi, sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Well, what can I say than to say, well done, Dr. Kafaya and your team. I remember the day I came for the first, when you invited me, there were some comments, oh, this man has come here to sell his briquettes. I heard it, but I laughed. But the truth of the matter is, as I speak to you, I speak from a great pain angle that Nigeria that we have, we're so blessed. I say so blessed that we're missing out in the world. Why am I saying that quickly? Waste is wealth. Waste is empowerment. Waste is strength. Waste is energy. And I'm too sure in this field, few people have tried to venture into this. I've given up many times that how can we move forward? But to God be the glory. Dr. Kafaya, well done. When she reached out to me, I remember the day she came to me, she was with me for almost 4 hours. And we couldn't stop talking. From everything, the team, the support, the enthusiasm over briquettes, is wonderful. Briquettes, someone has asked questions. We make briquettes from different sources. Oh, some are plastic and all that. Yes, but we're saying purely biomass. Then somebody mentioned about using charcoal. Charcoal, well, which we call biochar, what we use, biological charcoal. Understand? There's a difference because the level of carbonization of biochar is slightly stronger than making charcoal. I just want to explain that to everybody. And whether we like it or not, we cannot run away from wood residue, wood charcoal in Nigeria, whether you buy it or not, because we still have wood residue. There's timber, you understand? Also wood base. But what we're saying that we will not go out to start cutting down trees anymore. When we cut out trees, maybe they're for commercial product, is maybe for timber, for making furniture, for making building houses and all that. You understand? But there will still be residue, which can still be converted to biochar. And I want to tell everybody that when we talk of briquette making, we're talking of high carbon. Because when we carbonize, it's a different, you see, people who do charcoal, they'll load inside the ground for almost 1 week and all that. Briquette making biochar can be made in few hours. And that is wonderful. And we have different things out. Then let me lay some emphasis on water hyacinth, which Nigerians don't even know anything about. The leaves of water hyacinth is high protein and high feed for livestock. Nigerians don't know that. The stem is good for craft and all that. The roots are good for briquette making. So you can see that in that alone, the value chain in water hyacinth is fantastic. And for free, I tell you, water hyacinth cannot stop growing in the world. They multiply every 2 weeks. It's not, there's nothing we can do about it. People, they have tried all sorts. So why don't we utilize it? And then let me say again to you that the stem of water hyacinth is being used to make paper. I think one university is taking up that project now. Used to make paper. So having said all that, I want to appreciate everybody. Oh, the women, those women are fantastic people. I learned a lot from them. They might not know that. Every day, every time I mix with them, I ask them some stupid questions. They will answer it, and they will not know that I was tapping into them. They're fantastic people. Well done. Kudos to all of you. Briquette is safe. It's clean energy. It's everything you can think of, and it is waste to wealth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So that is hearing from the horse's mouth. So please, can we have further comments? Madam Bukola, I hope we're able to answer some of your queries and call questions the other time. If you have further questions, let's check the banner. We have our numbers, and before we end this call, we still put up our phone numbers and everything, so that if you have further questions, you can still contact us. Okay.
Mrs. Kuya, her hand is up. Can she do an intervention? Mr. Kazim, Can you lower your hand? You already spoke. Mr. Kazim Olayinka, you already spoke. Can you lower your hand? Mrs. Kuya, you have the floor.
Okay, yes. Good evening, Dr. Fakoya and your team, Dr. Jesse Tomi. I'm so proud of you all. Thank you for the great work. I'm particularly proud that this is pioneered and, carried along by women, So I had network issues, so I don't know what the last 30 minutes, but the much I heard. So I have this concern in terms of capacity, for the briquettes. So I'm wondering, considering the number of fisher women we have, quite many, we're not looking only to Lagos, but let's say even in Lagos. So what are the plans that we have in place that, to actually build capacity in terms of production and availability of these briquettes? for use, because that could be an issue. I'm looking, the water hyacinth is not always there. If it's cleared now, how long does it take to grow up again before it can be harvested and processed with other food wastes? So that's just one big issue that I had been concerned about, because it may not even just be the fisher women that may even use these products. Interest will obviously expand because it's a very worthy project. So that's my concern. If I can get some response and encouragement, that'll be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma. Yes, that's a valid concern. Okay, thank you, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. That's a very good concern. But one thing one advocacy we have been trying to see is bringing more people into the fold. That there's money in waste, and there are too many variety of waste. For instance, I'm too sure they might not have told you. I don't know. I think I joined the webinar late, but they use various types of briquettes: bamboo husk, rice husk, coconut husk, coconut shell, and various, and then of course. So what is happening is we want more people to come into this fold. Capacity building, like you said, it's not a joke. Because I can tell you, as I sit down now today, people are, oh, we want this. But the truth of the matter is, I'd worked on this thing for about 4 years, and I was almost getting tired of producing things. But now with this, I can tell you, we are expanding the capacity with a very jet speed. So we know we might not be able to meet up everybody, but more people should come into this fold, especially the men. People want to train for briquettes, let them come. We'll train them. Although the training might not, it's not a 2-hour training, it's a kind of a few weeks or something, because we want to train people to do things properly. Because on the international market, Nigeria is always being played down. We think we can do something better. So I would just say, capacity building, we are very ready for it. And we know that in a short while, even between now and end of the year, it's changing. I feel people are going to briquettes that I know. And I just pray that you can just key into it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Yeah, so the capacity, I like the way you have said it. Everyone is a viable value chain that some of us can go into. And since the product is already acceptable by many of these women, so there will always be ready-made markets for anyone that goes into it. And even Baba Karunwi too, at least we have visited his place a number of times. And I can say that even he has capacity. He has been supplying ShopRite and so many other outlets. So as we continue to improve awareness, we discover that many people will come into it, and it will now be something that will be can be produced on commercial basis for everyone. And I could also see some concerns about does he have smoke? Is it smokeless? Yes, I would like to say that the briquette, in fact, the way it is being lit, it is being that you can light it up is very, very easy. You take it and it has this benefit of you can still hold it. Even when the thing has caught fire, you can still hold it. So you just take it and take it into the device that you want to use to smoke. So what we do is there are some fire lighters, but if you don't have the fire lighters, you can just put it on you can put it on the electric stove or even on your gas burner. You just put it for some few minutes, less than 1 minute. You discover that the bottom would have caught the fire, then you transfer it to wherever you want to continue smoking. And when you put it there, it will be burning without smoke. It's something we have all practiced. So that's why we can say that about it. I think we are almost winding up the program now because we have less than 2 minutes. We said from 4 to 5:30 p.m. So briefly, I would like to say a big thank you to our funders. That's IDLC through Carleton University, Canada. We'd like to say a big thank you to them because without them, this project wouldn't have been visible. So we appreciate them for providing the fund. We thank God for giving us the grace and enablement to start, to continue, and to finish up with this project. We appreciate God. And we also like to appreciate every one of us. We appreciate those women from the various communities. Thank you, because without you, you know, one thing we discovered when we were starting up this project is that many interventions that have been taken to communities, they are hardly adopted because many of those end users are not involved. So we proposed in our heart that we're going to involve every one of them. And we could see that it brought up, they could adopt it easily because they were part of the processes, they were part of the planning. So we appreciate all the women, we appreciate the men, we appreciate ADP, we appreciate so many of the research institutes and the researchers that collaborated with us. We appreciate Engineer Karunwi. Thank you, Madam Ariola. You have been very supportive right from the beginning. And we appreciate GAF. I think it's being led by Dr. Mary Williams. We appreciate every one of us who have contributed to the success of this particular project. So we appreciate every one of you. We also appreciate our Professor Akintola, Professor Boyo, all from LASU. We thank every one of you. Thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for seeing us even to the conclusion of the project. I don't know, somebody has a hand raised. Billy Kisu, do you want to say something?
Yeah, hello, my sister. Let me
you.
just chip this in because we are meant to have a session of where we could brainstorm a bit and ask for recommendations. What's the way forward now with the revelation that that our women can use briquettes, and that it could also lead the path to a prospective growth in employment, wealth creation. That is what I foresee. I foresee briquettes not just being of use in the fishery sector, but extending beyond to other agricultural sectors. Now, with that being said, because we don't have the time, I think what we can ask for is for anybody who wants to help or give input, contributions as per recommendations, pathway, or actions. You can just forward the information to us. We make that available in the chat box. We write our email. You can just send that to us. And we also had in attendance the Director of Fisheries, Lagos State, Mr. Emmanuel Audu. We also had the woman leader, my sister, Mrs. Justina Balogun, and so many other people were here. And we are so grateful that they were here and they participated and they know the importance of this forum. And we hope that they will also, I know that they're also into briquette. They are introducing the rice farmers to make the rice cost into briquettes. But I think that we need more private sector, partnership, because that is one of the key points of this project. We're able to make linkages with Engineer Karunwi in the private sector. We also have other linkages that have helped support the program. So I think the private sector can actually help to drive, both the supply and also make more, and also create more impact, for the economy in the state. And even we can reach out beyond, because I'm sure it's going to have more available impact. So I think we should just rewrite contact email addresses so that they can reach us wherever they are and whatever they want to give to us as an input or contributions are highly welcome. Thank you.
And many people have put in their emails asking that they will need the presentation and they want more information. Please, can you put your contact on the screen so that people can send you messages directly? Because once we are off, we won't be able to.
I'm doing that already.
Okay, great. So we want to thank you all for the time you have spent with us. And I appreciate the team that came together to write the proposal for this project. I thank the sponsors of the project. And I thank all the participants, those who contributed, the women, the man who helped with the brisket, and every other person that has contributed in one way or the other to the workshops, to the construction of the drums, and all the new innovations that came through this project. And please send your recommendations to kafayat.fakoya@lasu.edu.ng, and responses will come to you on your request or wanting or information, any information you need on the project. Thank you all for your time. And we have spent 4 minutes beyond the time for this program. We thank the women group. I can see you. Thank you all for your time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.